Today is the penultimate Sunday in our church year. Next Sunday is the last Sunday in the church year when we celebrate the reign of Christ, when Christ comes at the end of time and the reign of Christ at all times in our own lives. Like any ending, it's a time of year that encourages us to look back and reflect on what has been, and to look forward with expectation and hope. And so it's a good Sunday to mark stewardship. Stewardship is what we do with what we have been given, how we use our time and our talent and our treasure. One of the important ways that we have done this here at St. George's over the past 10 years is through the ministry with refugees. And so to share more about that ministry from these last 10 years, Jennifer will come forward.
Thank you. St. George's Refugee Steering Committee came into being in response to public outcry regarding the Syrian refugee crisis back in September 2015. You may recall that photo of Alan Kurdi, the 2-year-old boy of Kurdish descent who died on a Turkish beach. His family had wanted to flee the Syrian civil war and in hopes of starting a new life in North Vancouver, where extended family lived. And half of the people in that little rubber raft drowned when it capsized, including Alan. But that picture served, and others served, to galvanize the world to the plight of the Syrian refugees, and it called out a response from all of us around the world. And within days, Richard Lasser, who is then our incumbent here, asked David Stewart and me to co-chair a refugee outreach team. A working group was then formed. The decision was made to initiate a private sponsorship of a refugee family under the auspices of the Anglican Diocese, and we started planning 2 fundraising events. The people of St. George's were on fire. Donations poured in and 2 gala events were held within 6 months. The Christmas concert and the Birdhouse fundraiser that some of you may remember together raised $32,000. These events, along with approximately $70,000 in private donations from parishioners, their families and friends, were the financial foundation for our 4 sponsorships over the past decade. And we were even able to assist 4 other Anglican parishes here in Greater Victoria meet their sponsorship targets, thanks to the money we raised at that Birdhouse event. So this parish has willingly and faithfully supported the work of refugee sponsorships since then. We've raised sufficient funds to welcome, house, feed, clothe, and support 7 adults, 7 children, and 2 babies, which were born shortly after their parents' arrival here. In 2016, we welcomed the Bilal family from Syria. In 2018, Haile Yamane from Eritrea via Israel. In 1919, the El Cook family, also from Syria. And finally, after a long wait, in 2024, we welcomed Ruth and Tesfalem, also from Eritrea. In addition to raising funds, countless members of this parish have served as members of the refugee team, contributed gifts in kind, collected furniture and furnishings from their homes, their friends' homes, and all over Greater Victoria, helped us find and then clean rental accommodation. They've driven our newcomers hundreds of kilometers to thousands of appointments and classes, introduced them to our parks and rec centers, helped them to learn English, shared their personal expertise. We had one member from the 8 o'clock congregation help with driving lessons for one of our first refugees. We've offered advice and friendship, and all of this has been undergirded by prayer. The lives of 16 people have been irrevocably changed for the better due to our collective efforts this past decade. And now, as this ministry formally comes to an end, there's much to remember and be thankful for. We have dug deep into our pockets. 70% of the total $184,000 raised came from people within this parish and our friends. We have opened our hearts to these people who have experienced things we could never imagine, and who then found the courage to leave everything behind and start a new life here in Victoria. These friends, these new friends of ours, have adjusted well to life in Victoria and are now making a major contribution to their new country. What more could we want? For me, this has been a vital ministry. It's been demanding, hugely demanding, but it is the most meaningful ministry that I've ever been involved in during my 50 years in this parish. And now, as this ministry comes to an end, I can't help but wonder, what does God have next for me and for us to do? Thank you.
It's always quite remarkable to hear such a summary, so thank you to all. Along with looking back at the good work of ministry that we have done, stewardship is about looking ahead in eager anticipation of what God through Christ has in store for us in the coming year. It means, and it is about committing our resources in time and effort and money to the work of ministry here at St. George's. We do that with confidence because we remember how God has been faithful to us in the past. We commit our resources to the work of the church because it is our primary way of participating in the work God is already doing in and through and among us. And specifics matter. Why do you give to St. George's? We have a couple of people who will share their personal reasons and reflections today. And I think Barbara's going first.
So when I was invited to think about why I give to St. George's, I found it quite an interesting and fun challenge, and I wrote my response in the form of a prayer poem. This is a personal prayer. Why I give to St. George's. Because together we can have greater compassion than I can have alone. And when I come here, that sense of compassion is nurtured. Because you, God, have put a feeling for eternity in my heart. And what I see in this community is love. Because you have given me eyes to see this. Because I sometimes glimpse your face when I look at the faces of your people here. And I enter into the hallowing that happens in our community. Because with all my shortcomings and weaknesses, when we are singing together, I feel awe. And when I look at the maple tree, I feel grace. Because when I pray, hallowed be your name, within this imperfect and lovely human community, I find here a place of belonging. Because you have given me ears to listen, and what I hear in this community is the difficult renewing of our minds and hearts and spirits. Because you have given me a mouth and tongue to praise you, and because you have given me the light on the mountains and hills in the early morning, because you have given me the gift of breath to be born, to be alive on this earth and beyond this earth, because you have made a space in the universe for me.
Pretty humbling to follow that beautiful piece. My journey. I came to St. George's about 12 years ago. I was born an Anglican. I was baptized and confirmed as an Anglican. And for many years, I drifted away from my faith. And in my 50s, I started to become interested in renewing my relationship with Christianity. Interestingly enough, it wasn't through the Anglican Church, but I met my St. Paul, who was a Jesuit named Father Max Oliva, who happened to be attached to the Catholic Cathedral in Calgary, where I was living. And Max always used to say, I'm the only Jesuit in Alberta, which he was. Like most Jesuits of his era, he had a very strong history of social justice involvement. I became a practicing Catholic for many years. My wife and I lived in North Africa for several years, and I attended both a Franciscan church in Tripoli, which was the cathedral, and also the Anglican Mission Church. I quickly found out when we moved back to Victoria to retire that Franciscans, Jesuits, and Benedictines are unique in Catholicism. I wasn't fed, so I returned to my Anglican roots. I came to St. George's, where my mother-in-law worshiped and my wife was confirmed many, many years ago. Since then, I have found community and spiritual nourishment. Being an Anglican to me can be characterized as the middle way. As the famous comedian, Robin Williams said, he was Episcopalian, he said, we're Catholic light, without the guilt. Anglicanism to me is a blend of Protestant and Catholic traditions. I was and still are attracted to the core elements of scripture, tradition, reason, and compassion, hence my little work with refugees over the years. This is Stewardship Sunday. Why should we give? We are people of Christ. We need to follow his example of giving and imitate his love, compassion, gratitude, and generosity. Giving benefits us as a parish. We live in challenging socioeconomic times. Financial donations helped us to fund our multitude of ministries and outreaches within this parish and beyond it. I've also been very blessed in my life, and my experience at St. George's has really enriched me. As Jennifer mentioned, one of the most rewarding experiences in my life has been the involvement in our refugee ministry here at St. George's. It gave me far more than I gave to the 4 sponsorships. Thank you, and please be generous.
For I am about to create new heavens and a new earth, God promises through the prophet Isaiah today, in a wonderful passage of hope and promise for us on this Stewardship Sunday. And so let us be glad and rejoice forever in what God is creating among us today and in the year to come.